Welcome to the Basic Text Workshop on the Chapter 10, More Will Be Revealed. Can we have a moment of silence for the addict who still suffers? God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Okay, I'd like to have everyone here participate in this meeting, and starting with you and just going this way, come up and read about, say, one paragraph of this chapter into the microphone.
Introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Drew. I'm an addict and an alcoholic. Okay, what will be revealed? As our recovery progressed, we became increasingly aware of ourselves and the world around us. Our needs and wants, our assets and liabilities were revealed to us. We came to realize that we had no power to change the outside world. We could only change ourselves. The program of Narcotics Anonymous provides an opportunity for us to use the pain of living through spiritual principles.
Hi, my name is Dom. I'm an alcoholic and an addict. We are very fortunate to have this program to come to. Before, very few people recognized that addiction was a disease. Recovery was only a dream. The responsibility, productive, drug-free lives of thousands of members illustrate the effectiveness of our program. Recovery is a reality for us today. Through working the steps, we are rebuilding our fractured personalities. Narcotics Anonymous is a healthy environment for growth. As a fellowship, we love and cherish one another, supporting our new way of life together.
I'm Chuck. I'm an addict. As we grow, we come to understand humility as acceptance of both our assets and our liabilities. What we want most is to feel good about ourselves. Today we have real feelings of love, joy, hope, sadness, excitement, not our old drug-induced feelings. At times we find ourselves caught up in old ideas, even with time on the program. The basics are as important to recovery as they were in the beginning. We need to avoid old thinking patterns, both the old ideas and the tendency towards complacency. We cannot afford to become complacent because our disease is with us 24 hours a day. If while practicing these principles we allow ourselves to feel superior or inferior, we isolate ourselves. We are headed for trouble if we feel apart from other addicts. Separation from the atmosphere of recovery and the spirit of service to others slows our spiritual growth. Complacency keeps us from goodwill, love, and compassion.
I'm an addict, they call me Tom. Let's see here. If we are unwilling to listen to others, we will deny the need for improvement. We learn to become flexible and to admit when others are right and when we are wrong. As new things are revealed, we feel renewed. We need to stay open-minded and willing to do that one extra thing, to go on to that one extra meeting, to stay on the phone that one extra minute, and to help that newcomer stay clean that one extra day. This extra effort is vital to our recovery. We come to know ourselves as never before. We experience new sensations such as finding out what is love and to be loved, to know that people care about us and have a concern and compassion for others. We find ourselves doing things we thought we would never be doing and enjoying them. We make mistakes and accept them and learn from them. We experience failure and we learn how to succeed. Often we have to face some type of crisis during our recovery, such as the death of a loved one, financial difficulties, or divorce. These are realities of life, and they don't go away just because we get clean. Some of us, even after years of recovery, found ourselves jobless, homeless, and penniless. We entertained the thought of staying clean was not paying off, and the old thinking stirred up self-pity, resentment, and anger. No matter how painful life's tragedies can be for us, one thing is clear. We must not use no matter what. Turning it over to our higher power and getting the support from our sponsor and other members can help us prevent from being our own worst enemies. Being alone during such times will give our disease too much leeway to take over. Honest sharing can dispel our fears of relapse. Serious illness or surgery can prevent particular problems for us.
You want to come in?
Hi, my name's Elise, and I'm an addict. Physicians should have specific knowledge of our addiction. Remember that we, not our doctor, are ultimately responsible for the risk we expose ourselves to. To minimize the danger, there are a few specific options that we may consider. These are using local anesthesia, avoiding our drug of choice, if any, stopping while we are still hurting, and spending extra days in the hospital in case withdrawal occurs. Whatever pain we experience will pass. Through prayer, meditation, and sharing, we keep our minds off our discomfort and have the strength to keep our priorities in order. It is imperative to keep NA members close by us at all times, if possible. It is amazing how our minds will just go back so quickly to our old ways and old thinking. You'd be surprised how much pain we could handle without medication. In this program of total abstinence, however, we feel no guilt after having taken a minimum amount of medication prescribed by an informed professional for extreme physical pain.
Hi, my name is Mandrid. I'm an addict and alcoholic. We grow through pain and recovery and often find that such a crisis is a gift, an opportunity to experience growth by living clean. Before, we were unable to even conceive of the thought that problems bring gifts. This may be finding strength within ourselves that we never knew before, or regaining the feeling of self-respect we had lost.
Thank you. Right here, just read 2 paragraphs.
I'm Mike, and I'm an addict.
Mike.
Spiritual growth, love, and compassion are but idle potentials until shared with a fellow addict. By giving unconditional love in the fellowship, we become more loving, and in the sharing of spiritual growth, we become more spiritual. By carrying this message to another addict, we are well reminded of where we came from. Having had an opportunity to remember old feelings and behaviors, we are able to see our own personal and spiritual growth. In the process of answering the questions of another, we become more clear in our thinking. Newer members are a constant source of hope, ever reminding us that the program works. We have the opportunity to live the knowledge acquired by staying clean when we work with them.
Thank you. Want to come? I need you to come around and read this on the microphone.
Okay. I'm Mike, and I'm an alcoholic and addict. We have learned to value others, respect for ourselves. We are pleased when people can now depend on us. For the first time in our lives, we may be asked to serve in positions of responsibility in community organizations outside of NA. Our opinions are at times sought and valued by non-addicts in areas other than addiction and recovery. We can enjoy our families in a new way and may become a credit to them instead of an embarrassment or a burden. They can be proud of us today. Our individuality, interests broaden, possible to include social, even political issues. Hobbies and recreations give us new pleasures. It gives us good feeling to know that aside from our values of others as recovering addicts, we are also the value as a human being.
Thank you. You send a person next to you. Okay.
Hello, everybody. My name's Lynn. I'm an addict. The reinforcement received by sponsorship is limitless. We spent years taking from others in every conceivable way. Words cannot describe the sense of spiritual awareness that we receive when we have given something, no matter how small, to another person. We are each other's eyes and ears. When we do something wrong, our fellow addicts help us to help ourselves by showing us what we cannot see. We sometimes find ourselves caught up in old ideas. We need to constantly review our feelings and thinking if we are to stay enthusiastic and to grow spiritually. This enthusiasm will aid our ongoing recovery.
Hello, my name is Mark. I'm an addict. Mark. Today we have the freedom of choice. As we work the program to the best of our ability, the obsession with self is removed. Much of our loneliness and fear are replaced by love and security of the fellowship. Helping a suffering addict is one of the greatest experiences life has to offer. We are willing to help. We had a similar experiences understanding fellow addicts as no one else can. We offer hope, for we know the better way of life is now real for us. And we give love because it was so freely given. New frontiers are open to us as we learn how to love. Love can be the flow of life energy from one person to another. By caring, sharing, and praying for others, we become part of them, and through empathy, allow them to become part of us. As we do this, we undergo a vital spiritual experience and are changed.
Next one, send the person next to you. Darren, read two.
I'm Robert, and I'm an addict.
Hi, Robert.
On a practical level, changes occur because what's appropriate to one phase of recovery may not be for another. Constantly let go of what has served its purpose and let God guide us through the current phase with what works here and now. As we become more God-reliant and gain self-respect, realize that we don't need to feel superior or inferior to anyone. Our real value is in being ourselves. Our egos, once so large and dominant, now take a back seat because we are in harmony with loving God. We find that we lead richer, happier, and much fuller lives when we lose self-will.
Either one. Where are we? Right there.
Hi, my name is Brigitte. I'm an addict. We become able to make wise and loving decisions based on principles and ideas that have real value in our lives. Having our thoughts with the spiritual ideals that we are moving toward, we are free to become who we want to be. What we had feared, we can now overcome through our dependence on a loving God. Faith has replaced our fear and given us freedom from ourselves. In recovery, we also strive for gratitude. We feel grateful for ongoing God consciousness. Whenever we confront a difficulty that we do not think we can handle, we ask God to do for us what we cannot do for ourselves. A spiritual awakening is an ongoing process. We experience a wider view of reality as we grow spiritually. An opening of our minds to new spiritual and physical experiences is the key to better awareness. As we grow spiritually, we become attuned to our feelings and our purpose in life. By loving ourselves, we become able to truly love others. This is a spiritual awakening that comes as a result of living this program. We find ourselves daring to care and to love.
Anybody? You want to come up? And then you. And then you. Here, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Cherie. I'm an addict. Hi. Higher mental and emotional functions, such as conscience and the ability to love, were sharply affected by our use of drugs. Living skills were reduced to the animal level. Our spirit was broken. The capacity to feel human was lost. This seems extreme, but many of us have been in this state. In time, through recovery, our dreams come true. We don't mean that we necessarily become rich or famous. However, by realizing the will of our higher power, dreams do come true in our recovery. One of the continuing miracles of recovery is becoming a productive, responsible member of society. We need to tread carefully into areas that expose us to ego-inflating experience, prestige, and manipulation that may be difficult for us to deal with. We have found that the way to remain a productive, responsible member of society is to put our recovery first. NA can survive without us, but we cannot survive without NA.
Hi, I'm Fred, an addict. Living just for today, we have no way of knowing what will happen to us. We are often amazed at how things work out for us. Recovering in the here and now, the future becomes an exciting journey. If we had written our list of expectations when we came to the program, we would have been cheating ourselves. Hopeless living problems became joyously changed. Our disease has been arrested, and now anything is possible. We became increasingly open-minded, which opens the door for new ideas in all areas of our lives. Through active listening, we hear things that work for us. This ability is a gift and grows as we grow spiritually. Life takes on new meaning when we open ourselves to this gift. In order to receive, we must be willing to give.
My name's Wendy, and I'm an addict. Hi, Wendy. Hi, family. Narcotics Anonymous offers only one promise, and that is freedom from active addiction, the solution that eluded us for so long. We will be freed from our own self-made prisons. In recovery, our ideas of fun change. We are now free to enjoy the simple things in life, like fellowship and living in harmony with nature. We now have become free to develop a new understanding of life. As we look back, we are grateful for our new life. It's so unlike the events that brought us here.
I'm Sydney, I'm an addict. While using, we thought that we had fun and that non-users were deprived of it. Spirituality enables us to live to the fullest, feeling grateful for who we are and what we have done in life. Since the beginning of our recovery, we have found that joy doesn't come from material things, but from within ourselves. We find that when we lose self-obsession, we are able to understand what it means to be happy, joyous, and free. Indescribable joy comes from sharing from the heart. We no longer need to lie to gain acceptance. Narcotics Anonymous offers addicts a program of recovery which is more than just a life without drugs. Not only is this way of life better than the hell we lived, it is better than any life we've ever known. We have found a way out, and we see it work for others. Each day more will be revealed. Okay.
Thank you very much. As I said, my name is Dale, and I'm an addict. Hi, and I was asked to chair this meeting, and it's a real honor and privilege. So I've been studying this chapter for a long time, and it's really helped me a lot. This particular book, I think, is the most talked about, less read book in the world. So it's, I feel real grateful to be part of a workshop in which we're reading a basic text, which is a designer program for living written from shared experiences of others who've been through a lot of things. My first exposure, I guess, to greater NA outside of a small group was the Second East Coast Convention, and from there out to a World Literature Workshop, and they were working on the Gray Review Forum. And there I met Bo S., who is a member of the Board of Trustees and was very important in this book coming out. He sacrificed a great deal personally for us to have this book. And I asked Bo to come and share a little bit about this, the history of the book, but in particular, the history of this chapter. More will be revealed. This chapter says so much. After Bo shares, I'd like everybody here that wants to have the opportunity to come up to the microphone and share, because we're taping this. And this chapter is so full of so much recovery material. I made about 24 topics listed, and I think there's about equal number of topics as there are people here. So we can each come up and share about a specific thing or anything else you care to share about concerning this chapter. Bub?
My name's Bo, and I'm an addict. I'm real grateful to get to be here today and share with this. So I'll just pray for God to use me as an instrument and just, sort of off the top of my head respond to the topic. I hope. Well, you have to understand, we were just dreaming, and we didn't figure that it'd work probably. So we felt that kind of made us bold, and we felt real free. And what would make a nice 10th chapter, came up at some point. And we'd done a lot of research and footwork at that point, and it seemed to be kind of a crucial phrase, more will be revealed. And the idea of the final chapter of the text portion being named more will be revealed was part of the idea from 1977 onward. And then generally when the 800 pages of input was being sorted at Lincoln, Nebraska at the Second World Lit Conference and being fashioned into, the grade form material at Memphis 6 months later, and then in subsequent edits at Santa Monica and Warren and Miami, leading up to the finalization material, it was just hoped that the 10th chapter would have sort of special material with maybe lots of stuff between the lines, because if you're like I am, you get in the shit, and you kind of wander in there, right? You're just going along, having a good time, and suddenly, I get in the shit, and yes, hey sponsor, hey home group, and you get real interested in working your program good, and and praying a lot, and if I ever get out of this one, God, and pretty soon, en route to things getting better, and maybe a relapse in future complacency, but you hit sort of a plateau, when you become real intensely willing for a while and really open-minded and extra honest and willing to try. And maybe this chapter is sort of like for those plateaus, because they're real dangerous to me. I like to stay, dug in on some kind of, worthy effort, and it has to feel good about being alive and being clean. And so this is a tricky chapter, and even when I was hearing it read, I was wondering, well, how am I going to feel when I hear it read? And then, about midway through, sure enough, somebody said something other than that thing about being a human being. The little tears started forming, and I'm grateful that it turned out as well as it did. Thank you.
Thank you, Bo. If we sort of proceed in people coming up to share that in the same manner that we did when we read it, starting up here on the front and going down, I think it hopefully will kind of fall into place that those folks who read will actually be sharing about the paragraph that they read about. So why don't we just start with the second row there. Okay, one of the notes that I made of just started topics, it kind of talked a lot about a lot of things, but our needs and wants, our assets and liabilities, and how the program of Narcotics Anonymous provides an opportunity for us to ease the pain of living through spiritual principles. Would you like to share personally about it?
Okay. My name's Elise, and I'm a typical addict. Let's see.
I don't know, I never thought the pain would ever be eased for me. Being on drugs for half my life, I just never thought there would be a way out. And I'm finally starting to get rid of this knot in my stomach. It was funny before how it's like, no coincidences. I read that chapter on prescribed medications and things like that, and that was something that was always real easy for me to fall into. And just realizing how I'm changing in sobriety. I mean, before I used to have to beg doctors for drugs, and the other day I got a call from a doctor who offered me drugs, and I was able to say no for the first time in my life, and I hung up the phone, and I felt so great. I was like dancing around the house, like I actually said no to drugs to this doctor over the phone. And, the spirituality is coming little by little. I take my will back a lot. I feel like I'm white-knuckling the program a lot. I only have a short time in, but the convention is really doing a lot to me. Just feeling what everybody else has. I definitely want it. I don't want what's back out there. It's not appealing to me anymore. I could feel changes coming over me, new attitudes. It's funny how people, once they get to know you, even in my job, they knew me when I was using. They took me back, knowing that I had to clean up, and they took me back anyway after I cleaned up. And it's just so obvious when, the attitudes go off. My boss will take me aside and people actually care, they'll, like, what's the matter? I see a change in you, and they could actually point it out before I go back out and use, which is like where I was right on the road to do it. And it took somebody, on the outside to just point out little things, like I am a human being, and I beat myself up constantly for not being perfect. And why strive to be perfect? Nobody's going to notice when you get there anyway. But, it's just so hard really understanding that people really care. I have a hard time understanding that because before I was just always drug-related, and that's all people really cared about. And like somebody else said, those people, they don't miss you if they don't see you. Now you don't go to meetings, and people wonder, hey, where are you, and what's happened to you, and, where you been. And I have a hard time with isolation. I got to work on that. But, I keep coming to meetings, and more will be revealed. Thank you.
This chapter also talks about addiction being recognized as a disease is part of what makes our recovery possible.
Well, I got the disease. My name is Drew. I'm an addict. It's funny. I just walked out of the room before I realized I hadn't called in sick for work, and now I called in late. So I'm in trouble. But it's getting better. I don't know what to say here. This is the first speaking I've done since I've been at this World Convention. I've been meaning to get up and raise my hand, like I always mean to, and share. Right now I don't have anything in my head to share, though. I'm real new to this. I got 50 days now. And it feels good. You got a subject matter you're discussing at the moment?
No, we just kind of, whatever you want.
I haven't even read this chapter yet. But thank you for being here.
If you don't really feel like talking about what I suggest, then talk about whatever you would like to talk about.
You got a suggestion?
Yeah, I sure do. The third chapter talks about responsible, productive, drug-free lives of thousands of members illustrate the effectiveness of our program. How does that help you, knowing that there's thousands of other members recovering?
Well, my name is Cliff, and I'm an addict. And I'm like, my heart's like boom, 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 boom. This is like the first time I ever spoke like into a microphone. And what was great for me was like, I drove in from New York, and I was like really grouchy, and I was like really freaked out. And the first thing that happened when I walked into the hotel was some guy who I didn't know was like, "Give me a hug." And I was like, "No, you know, I'm not ready for hugs yet." You know, I was like all burnt out. And he said, "Come here, you better get ready for it." And like he squished me, and like all my guts came out of my mouth. And I hadn't slept enough, and I felt really raunchy. So I went to a restaurant from here, and I walked in with a friend of mine who I was on the road with. And we walked in, and there was about 6 or 7 people there, all that I didn't know, who had like these little white tags on, and they knew that we were from the NA, from the convention. And I sat down, they invited us at the table to eat dinner. And my mind was really racing, because whenever I come to these conventions and stuff, you know, I get overwhelmed. You know, you're walking with that image and the ego, because like you don't really know everyone, you want to come off cool or whatever. And you know, usually like, you know, I leave like crying like a baby and stuff. And we proceeded to have dinner, and we just started talking. And I couldn't believe what was coming out of my mouth. You know, I sounded so great. I was like sharing gut level feelings and being real. And these were 7 people I didn't know from 7 different parts of the country. And they were identifying and giving me feedback and sharing like experiences with them. And all of a sudden I got so well balanced. And I was at a meeting before, and I heard someone talking about, I went to the NA history meeting. And sometimes we tend to go to our certain groups, and we think that's what NA is, just our little groups in our little towns where we come from. And we come to something like this, and we see that like, you know, we're happening all over the world. And I was talking like such serious things, and these people understood me and understood where I was coming from. And they went through similar stuff, and that balanced me, that centered me, that got me right into the vibe. So I went home, back to the hotel home, and you know, I went to sleep at 9:30, I got my rest, and I got up 6 o'clock in the morning, and I got like, you know, this program is just like amazing for me, because like a year ago, like I was hallucinating. And it's just great to have all these people and all this unconditional love. This was like something I was searching for through the 60s and the 70s, through like the love and the commune and the orgies and all that stuff. And the people out there just weren't stand-up, and I found the people in the rooms to be stand-up. You could talk to them and this and that. As far as, what's that, about becoming a productive member of society and stuff like that? I haven't done that yet. But you know, at least I got a shot at it today, you know. At least I'm not like robbing and stealing and getting high and dreaming, just sitting on the toilet bowl and dreaming, if only I should, I would. And that's about all I got to say. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot. The 4th paragraph in this chapter talks about humility as acceptance of both our assets and our liabilities. Would you like to talk about humility?
Sure. Hi, my name is Joyce, and I'm an addict. The first thing that comes to my mind is I was at the World Convention last year in New York, and I had 9 days clean, and I was really out of my mind. You know, I was kicking a 13-year methadone habit, and it didn't seem possible, you know, and I had to get humble, you know, because I heard enough. And I listened to all you people because you were doing something that I could never do. You were not using a day at a time, and I didn't know how to do that. I feel a lot of gratitude today, you know, being back here a year later and staying clean. It's a miracle, you know. It's the theme of this convention is like miracles happen, and I felt it happening, you know, in my life this year. It's just the fellowship, you know. What I found in NA, I believe, is something that I looked for all my life in a bag of dough, you know. It's like a place where I really belong. You know, I knew when my first NA meeting, you know, I belong here, I qualified. Acceptance, unconditional love, and a purpose. You know, I never had a purpose in life.
And our purpose, how I see it, is to help the addict who still suffers. And I can get a lot of humility out of that because I know people reached out and helped me. And I love reaching out to people, you know, newcomers. There's a girl here today, and she's still on methadone, you know, but I believe that if it's God's will, you know, after this convention, she will seek help and go to a hospital, whatever. This fellowship works, you know. I see it working. It's something that, you know, you don't have to take on blind faith. You could look around and just see it working in the lives of addicts. And I feel a lot of gratitude, just a real lot of gratitude. I almost wish the topic was gratitude, but thank you.
I'm here for the hugs. The next chapter talks about the basics of recovery.
Hi, my name is Dell. I'm an alcoholic and an addict. And I'm really glad to be here today. Because a week ago I wasn't sure if I was going to be in this program at all anymore. This is my first convention. And I'll be celebrating 2 years when I go back home. It was 2 years Wednesday, my first day in Chicago. And I gotta say that for the first time in my life, in the last 2 weeks, this is a fucking miracle, and it's beyond my wildest dreams. Lots of times I came in these rooms and I listened to the steps, and every time I worked the steps, I worked them a little better. I haven't read this whole book. I read when I'm in pain. I got a lot of gratitude today. Not only for myself and that I could stay clean for 2 years. I'm going to pass out one day at a time. Through this program, I've learned to love other people and allow them to love me. I have loved other people in my life, but I never allowed anybody to love me. Somebody told me here this morning that, and I didn't want to hear this when I was coming up in 1 year. They had told me the first year is a gift, the second year is work, okay, but I heard something really good this morning. I heard that the first year is a physical recovery, the second year is an emotional recovery, and the third year is a spiritual recovery. And it made a lot of sense to me because I searched for spirituality in this program, and I tried so hard, and the harder I tried, I couldn't find it. And I really believed that if I didn't get some kind of spirituality, I was going to go out and use. And I got a committee that talks to me in one ear, and the other night, 2 weeks ago, it was talking louder than I ever heard it talk before. And it's only through a force of habit in this program of going to meetings and picking up the telephone and using my sponsor that I was able to help myself with the help of the other people in this program. I can't say enough about Narcotics Anonymous program because I came in through the AA program, and in spite of myself, I stayed clean for 1.5 years before I found NA. And I found NA speaking out of jail, and I couldn't believe that in all the institutions I had been in and around, that I had never seen NA literature. And I went through a 3-month lull where I didn't think I was doing any growing. Hugs and kisses were really great, but I was really slacking off on work, and somehow I got dope fiend into service. And I didn't know how it happened. I was feeling lonely, and I don't know if any of you know Richie from New York. And I got in an area service level and a group level, and it's really good, and that's all I can deal with right now. And it gave me a sense of belonging. And I got to say, even being at this convention, this is my first convention, and I really think it's wonderful to hear people from, somebody else said it, like Kentucky, Illinois, and we all share the same feelings, and it's really outrageous. But I just lost it, and that's it. Thanks a lot.
Then you. After him, then you. Okay, the next paragraph talks about kind of how she ended, feeling a part of Narcotics Anonymous. It talks about a safeguard of, and how that feeling a part of is dangerous.
Feeling apart from.
Yeah, feeling apart from is dangerous. So,
Thanks. Hello, my name's Mark and I'm an addict. Hi. Yeah, bring on the spiritual recovery. That's what I say. Feeling apart from. There was a meeting on isolation somewhere in this building, and what I heard about that meeting sounded really good. I was in another meeting. Can't be everywhere at the same time. This is a really tricky topic for me. I've had a hard time because I got clean in England in NA, and I was there long enough to feel enough confidence about myself to venture out into the world again. And I had unresolved situations in Switzerland. I was married out there, and I had a lot of debt. And the 8th and the 9th step talk about making amends. So I wanted to make these amends because there were thorns in my skin. And I went out to Switzerland, and I stayed in Switzerland for a year. And the 12-step fellowship that I attended was based on shame and guilt. You know, you got so ashamed that you took whatever drug it was that, you know, and the people in the village saw that that's the way you were, so you quit. It wasn't like a little bit like in America where you can go down through the safety net and end up drinking Thunderbird and Wild Irish Rose and shooting PCP, you know. In England it can get pretty rough. But I was out in isolation, really. People put my address in newsletters. WSO was corresponding with me. People sent me tapes of a guy called Bob B. He's got a long time. And some days I would come home, there would be 4 or 5 letters in my letterbox. And I'd be like a little child, you know, I'd rip them open and just read them as quickly as I could. Because, you know, I was out there alone, but I didn't use in that year. I went through a lot of ups and downs. I got the help wherever I needed it. A lot of the help was through corresponding to people in America. Some of them are here today. I don't know if they're in this room because I don't even know what they look like. Corresponded with people in New Zealand and in Ireland and in England too. So I did feel a part of, but I got used to being not a part of, so to speak. And so when I came to America, I was confused, really confused and really frightened, you know, because I'm just not used to so much love and attention and a meeting every day, 2 meetings every day, 3 meetings every day, and I was doing that. I've been doing 3 meetings a day sometimes. And in this convention, I'm really beginning to feel a part of. I was carrying the NA torch out in Switzerland because I believe in this fellowship. It saved my life, and I never had any goals. You know, when I was taking LSD, for a while I thought I could control the wind. And you know, when I saw chessmen in the sky on pink and yellow chessboards, you know, that was God, or that was something, and it was something, but. After a while I had to start shooting dope because I didn't like those hallucinations anymore, and the dope nearly killed me. So feeling a part of,
hoping that you will love me until I can really open up with you completely. It's happening day by day. I can feel it. I drew a lot of my own conceptions of how this program works while I was out in Switzerland. And every meeting I go to, people talk about it working in the same way, you know. So I don't know if that stayed on the topic, but it was really nice to talk about it anyway. Thank you.
I like this part a lot. It says, as new things are revealed, we feel renewed. We need to stay open-minded and willing to do that one extra thing, to go to that one extra meeting, stay on the phone that one extra minute, and help that newcomer stay clean that one extra day. This extra effort is vital to our recovery.
Extra effort. Okay.
I'm Ann, and I'm an addict. Hi, and I'm from Austin, Texas. I started my recovery up here in Chicago, and I worked my ass off to get here today. And I prayed to God through the whole thing that I didn't have my fingers in it, and all I was doing was rowing the boat. And I guess I did okay because I'm here, and God's will is always going on, so it's okay. And thank you, and I'm grateful. And it's just a coincidence that I read this chapter today because I was so scared and excited about showing up here that about 100 miles outside Chicago I read this chapter. And it was the first time I ever read it. And about 2 weeks ago, in Austin, we're only a year old. We have some people that have come from other towns that have longer than a year, like myself. And there's a guy there that's got a lot of time from Washington. And I asked him about some things that I'm confused about and scared about. And he told me about this burn. And since I got my Chicago and Texas accents mixed up, you might not understand what I just said, but I said burn, B-U-R-N. And it's inside your stomach. I don't know how to work this thing. And it's inside my stomach or somewhere, and it comes out my arms and legs, and in service, and with newcomers, and at meetings, and it makes my legs tremble. And it's when I'm willing to do all this. This is what he told me 2 weeks ago, and this is what he said he thought I had, and what he said he thinks he has. And anybody that does stay in this program long enough to experience the miracles, which I'm now learning to experience, it's because we have that burn. We want this much more to stay clean than we want to use, and that's as simple as that. And because we got this much burn or this much wanting to try, willing to try, whatever it takes, we're willing to try. It doesn't matter how much. You know, like I'm the secretary for my area, and yeah, I boast a little bit, you know, except there's one problem. I can't get the minutes out in time. But I keep resigning as secretary, and then they renominate me and they ask me to qualify. And I say I'm willing to try. And I don't know why I keep saying that. I could just say something like, I'm always late, I can't qualify. And I don't. I'm willing to try. If they're willing to put up with my shortcomings and love me unconditionally and allow me to be their secretary, I keep doing it. Because that's how grateful I am to be in the fellowship, to be given the gifts that I'm given now from God, and to experience the miracles through NA. And and another coincidence is I was up at the marathon meeting just before this one, and a lot of people were sharing where they were at today, and then one girl asked what the topic was, and it was what's wrong with feeling good. And I almost fell over because I've been feeling good for about a week now, and I've never felt this way before in my entire life, and I don't know how to feel it. It's overwhelming. And I sit in meetings and giggle and glow, and when I talk, I tremble and I cry, and I tell people any way I can give it back, I will give it back. Any service I can be, I will be it, because God will be done, and I'm recovering. So apparently my purpose is to give back what I've already gotten, because I got this burn in me that I got to give it back, because it's dynamite, and I hope y'all can have it. That's it.
This chapter just talks about so much, and the time is limited, so I'll just go through about turning it over.
I'm Chuck. I'm an addict from Houston, Texas. Hi, y'all. I've been clean about 22 months. And it seems like after you're clean for a while, you know, you get a job and you get a nice apartment, your car seems to run regular because you remember to maintain, you forget what it's like. I'm here to tell you today I get 31 days out of cigarette and I remember real clearly what it's like. I got in touch with my addiction all over again. It's kind of like I had to give up quitting cigarettes. I had to give up the idea of quitting because I knew I couldn't quit. And I had to surrender to not being able to quit. And I had to start practicing the principles. And I had to go to turn it over. Because I couldn't do it. It was real funny. I went about a month ago on a Saturday to 4 o'clock in the afternoon without a cigarette. And then my mom called me. And I'd been avoiding some responsibility in that area. The next hour I smoked 8 cigarettes. It just reminded me so much, you know, of my addiction, you know, the parallels. And the next day, I still had 3 cigarettes left, so I figured, well, I'm not going to quit. You know, I still got 3. I'm going to smoke these, then I'm going to quit. You know, ruined me for the day, you know. It's typical, so typical. And I just had to turn it over. Of myself, I am nothing. There's another sentence here right at the start that says we come to ourselves never before. I got to comment on that because I'm me, and that's all I am, and I have to accept that. And you are you, and that's all you are, and I have to accept that too. Because when I get out of phase with either one of them 2 statements, that's when my life really gets miserable. Because I don't allow you to be you, or don't allow me to be me. That's when I hurt the most. I love you. Thank you.
Honest sharing.
I'm Dabney. I'm an addict. I was going to jump ahead. That's all right. See, I've never read this chapter either till we sat in here today and read it. And I just did my 5th step a week ago today, and it was a really good experience. And I learned a lot about myself and where I'm at today, and how much more aware of myself I am, and how I can accept myself and other people's respect for me. It's real hard to take compliments and to accept honest appraisal of myself, because a lot of times I don't see myself the way other people do. You know, I've learned that I have value for other people. You know, a lot of times I'll show up to a meeting and be the only one there, and we'll have 4 newcomers, you know, and it's down in Jacksonville. And it's really weird because sometimes, you know, like I wasn't the secretary of the group or anything, so I don't have any literature with me, and I don't have any, you know, we don't have a key to get in or anything, so we just sit down on the grass and I just share with them, you know, how the program has helped me, and tell them the steps, you know, but just sharing from the heart and just informally like that, and it does, you know, then it's good to see them at another meeting later. And it says in here that we are each other's ears and eyes. When we do something wrong, our fellow addicts help us to help ourselves by showing us what we cannot see. And I live in Nashville now, and I live with another recovering addict, and we're always taking each other's inventory and showing each other, you know, you're being judgmental, you're being pessimistic, you're being, you know, and but it always seems to work out that one of us can guide the other back onto a positive path. Rarely are we both in a real negative state at the same time, and I think God has put us together. We didn't really choose each other as roommates. We met last winter in Atlanta, and we're grateful to have that. It's really neat to have the feeling of being an answer to a prayer. You know, I feel that God knows what I need and want before I even know, and before I can even ask Him. And it's really neat that my roommate was praying for someone to live with, and we just met through a mutual friend. And one thing I really like about this chapter is that it says, as we become more God-reliant and gain self-respect, we realize that we don't need to feel superior or inferior to anyone else. And it says we become able to make wise and loving decisions. It shows me that even if I'm not always doing this, that, I can progress, that I don't have to be perfect. And it just shows me how much growth I still have to go no matter how long I'm clean. Thanks.
Well, this next paragraph talks about use of medication in recovery, and it also states that this is a program of total abstinence. It's real important for me to be recovering in a fellowship where 100% of the recovering people and all of the literature states that it's a program of complete abstinence from all mind and mood-altering chemicals. Thank you. You want to talk about this?
I'm a happy addict, they call me Tommy. No, this chapter is like, I don't know, I think Bo explained how I feel. It's like I get through these stages where I just feel real open for suggestion to anything, and it's real neat. I've read this chapter, God knows how many times, But total abstinence, I remember I came into NA in 1980, and all the literature that they read before the meeting hit me right on the head. But there was one thing in there that said the substitution of alcohol. And you see, I never liked to drink. I hated the taste of it. I could just have one drink, and I quit shooting dope and I quit eating barbs. But I had a reservation, about alcohol. It took me back out for a year and a half before I got back to NA, and physically and mentally, it was the worst part of my addiction. I've been free of drugs for almost 2 years, and it feels real good today. But I guess total abstinence, I can't really speak on any more than that about it, and I'll pass.
Unconditional love.
How you doing, Dale? Trying my best. My name's Steve, and I'm an addict from Baltimore, Maryland. I want you to hear that. I don't know, I came in a little late, so I didn't hear you read the chapter, but I've read it a few times, and more would be revealed to me alone means a lot, because I didn't come into this program because I wanted it. I came into it through prison as an out of a jail cell. And I guess I found some comfortability in here, that the people would listen and were always friendly. And I didn't, I really never had any plans of sticking around because I thought y'all were all sick, crazy people. And I knew I wasn't, I just happened to be in prison, And I went through prison and, I stayed clean for my last year and a half of prison because of NA and a couple of people that followed me through that I didn't know, but they showed up every time I got transferred, and we started another NA meeting, and I became chairman, and I thought that was cool, and I was on top of the world. And when I got out of prison, I decided to go back where I came from, and I lasted about a month. And I made a call to the guy that was my sponsor up in the Baltimore area, and I relocated him up to Baltimore, and I've been clean since, and I'm proud of that. The more to be revealed thing to me is that today, things every day mean different. I can remember the first day in the program that started in AA, I still despise every fucking saying that's in this program. but every day I find a new meaning for the sayings where they mean something different to me. And I've never believed in change. I still think I'm the same arrogant punk that I always was, and all the change that I see comes from what other people tell me. Today, I went from spending a few years in prison to being an alcohol and drug counselor in a rehabilitation center, and I'm constantly telling other people how to change, what to do, how to work their program. And you know, it's amazing an asshole like me telling these people what to do. And I go home each night and I found that my biggest critic is me, because I go over every single word that I tell someone else to do, and then I have to work it, because if I don't work it, I'm not working an honest program. And this program has given more to me than I've ever given anybody in my life, and I know that I'll be staying here for quite some time to try to get even, and I hope that I'm here for the rest of my life. Thank you.
Sponsorship.
I'm Mike, and I'm an addict from Philadelphia. Hi, everybody. And as far as sponsorship goes, there's a lot of things that I really liked about this chapter. And for the first year in this program, I had no sponsor. And I was running the show my way. You know, I didn't realize it. I figured I was unique. I didn't need a sponsor. You know, I could still control my life. And I was one of those people in the program, there's one in every meeting, that would go around and preach his steps to you. And would go around and tell people in the meetings what they had to do to stay clean. You know, and I would tell people to get a sponsor because that's what you had to do. And I would talk about the 6 suggestions of the program. And what it finally came down to is that I wasn't talking about myself, and I was just like on the road right out the door of the program. And when I finally took a look at myself, I found that I was the biggest hypocrite that sat in that meeting room. And the people that I sponsored, I didn't let them know that I didn't have a sponsor. And I just had to get honest with everything because I was living a lie. And today I know the importance of sponsorship. I have to talk about the things that I don't think are important about myself. But I know that it's the little things that'll take me out the door. The big problems I can handle today. It's when I let all the little things build up that I'm on my way out. And a couple other things that they talk about in this chapter that really touch me is that the program can get along without me, but I can't get along without the program. And that is so true. If I was to pick up in an hour from now, everybody in this room would still be sitting here, and not a thing would change. You know, but if I don't go to a meeting for a week, I'm going insane. I start feeling the effects. You know, I need everybody sitting in this room, and that's what this chapter talks about. That's the way I see it. And a big thing for me, I was looking for happiness when I came into this program, and it talks about happiness is from within. And I always looked for it in a woman, in a car, in money. Today I found it in God. I found it in these rooms. You know, and that's what keeps me happy today, and through prayer. And I found that God answers every one of my prayers. You know, sometimes it's a simple no, but He answers all of them. And given responsible positions, you know, I never had that before. And I came into this program, and people gave me things. They put me into service positions that I didn't think I could handle, and through the grace of God, I was able to handle them. You know, this chapter keeps me going a lot of times because it's what this program's about. That's all. Thank you.
Helping a suffering addict is one of the greatest experiences life has to offer. We are willing to help.
I'm Nancy. I'm an addict from Georgia. It's funny. I needed so much help myself. Tremendous amount. Because I had used for so long, more than 2/3 of my entire life. And almost for 2 years I didn't know or understand or comprehend the help I was getting from NA, Took me a long time to stop damning the steps and trying to take one word for each step. I could only learn one word at a time. And I continued to get help, and I used to wonder, how could anyone like me? How? And over a period of 2 years, I learned it was my own self-hate that was in my way. The only way I knew to overcome self-hate so that I could accept any feeling from anyone else, maybe it was cleaning the ashtray at first. One time I see a face over there, and Lynn. I heard him speak at Rising Sun in Marietta, Georgia. I couldn't comprehend really what the man was describing, but it was regional service throughout a state. And I thought, God, I wish I could understand what he's saying and what it means and what all those letters are. GSRs, ASRs, RSRs, WSO, WC, would I ever get it together? Even though I came out of the Roosevelt era, you know, NRA and all those government letters, couldn't get it together. This year, February, I retired from business. I lost it again. I mean, really, self-worth, self-esteem. I ain't worth shit to nobody. Nobody's paying me anything. I, of course, know now, within my third year of association, not clean time, unfortunately, but in the association, that I cannot do without NA on a daily basis. The meetings on a daily basis. Every day I wake up, I'm a newcomer, but now I know more. And in my area, they understood what I don't understand or can't vocalize. They seemed to understand that Nancy needed a job. They gave Nancy a job. She was a body in the right place at the right time, and they voted me a job. The most beautiful job a person could ever have. The way to help the region, do PI work, the ability to do one-to-one on a hotline. And it's crazy, so many old ladies call. To them I relate, you know. They can't understand the fucking balls to the wall language. But they're damn in need of recovery and know to say it. And of course they're old, you know, like me. I don't want to impose on your time now. I don't want you to give me too much time now. You know, they don't comprehend. And I have to tell them, the most beautiful thing in my day, the most beautiful thing can happen to me is the importance of you. You know, and you have to repeat it, you know. Young people are like that too. The hotline calls are a thing of beauty. It's their first contact, you know. That hotline call is a treasure. I went down there to learn the operators that do us, the people that own us. How can we help you do a better job for the people that call, you know? And that's only one element. But it's a beautiful element in being able to help others. Even when I used all my life, I like people. Or at least I thought I did. And I guess I did. Nobody ever complained. But I hadn't the right feeling, you know what I mean? Not the right feeling. Now everyone else is worth so much time, thought, love. So many people are worth the hug, the kiss. It means so much to me, that those small helpings. You know why? Because I get it back every time. Thank you.
I wish that we had all had time to come up to the microphone and share on tape Please share in other meetings. We're out of time and we need to close the meeting. Narcotics Anonymous offers addicts a program of recovery which is more than just a life without drugs. Not only is this way of life better than the hell we lived, it is better than any life that we had ever known. We found a way out, and we see it work for others. Each day, more will be revealed. Could you please come up and form a circle around, and we can have a prayer on tape.